Okay, we're already cranking for big preparation for this trip coming up. We've got a really good-looking opponent, very similar in the makeup of the team we saw last week in their commitment to the run, their commitment to the defense, the front on defense. These guys are leading the NFL in rushing. They're leading the NFL in total defense and scoring defense, and their special teams are tough too. So this is a very similar matchup for us, and now, of course, the names and the faces change, but this is a good club, and I know they're fired up, and it's going to be a big game for us.
That defense in particular, just all the different weapons they have, how good are they?
Yeah, well, they're the best in the NFL, okay, by pretty good margin here, and scoring and all that. The front, it starts up front for them. They've got a big rotation of guys, a big variety of guys that they can throw at you. Their linebackers can fly, and the secondary is a bunch of ball hawks back there, so they cause you all kinds of problems. 45 sacks tells you the story, and all the turnovers, and the turnover ratio tells you the story.
What's allowed Calais Campbell to make this leap from a sack perspective, moving to end, and how they're using it?
I think I think Todd figured that out. That if they put him in end, he might really help him and even be more productive. He's always been a great player, and it's worked out for him beautifully. So they move him around quite a bit, but he has just taken to that and just become even more effective and more dominant.
Are they is the way their defense aligns and the way they put pieces in places similar to maybe what you guys were at various times here?
It's the same approach in that they're trying to get big rotations going and move their guys and keep the pressure hot. Really, it's the same way that we did it here, and that's what you'd love to do. If you have it, and they've got great speed. They can bring in off the bench on their third down situations, on their edge rushers, and the whole thing just is really fit together beautifully.
You mentioned Todd. There's quite a few coordinators around the league right now on the defensive side of the ball who came through here. Do you look at that and take some pride in just seeing all your different guys?
It's good. It's nice. I mean, I love that the guys are getting the opportunities and they're doing stuff. Don't really look at it that way. Yes, Danny.
Have you heard from the league about the Galilean transformation?
No, directly, no. Indirectly, I've got some messages of challenge. But I think it's a good opportunity for us to show how we can cross over into the world of science too. In our game of football. And, think if we would have had Neil deGrasse Tyson to evaluate the Golden Tate catch. That would have been, who knows? Who knows?
You would have said about that?
I don't know. I couldn't speak for him.
You mentioned earlier this week you were going to wait until Wednesday to see the status on Deshaun Shedd and also Deon Jordan. Do you have updates on either of them?
Deshaun's practicing today, first time, and we're really fired up for that. And it's been a long haul for him. Anytime you've ever heard me talk about him, I would tell you he's ridiculously on it in terms of his rehab and his effort and his preparation and all of that. And I'm thrilled for him to come back to the practice now and have a chance to. He's got 3 weeks to show where he is and all that, and we'll take a good look at it with our fingers crossed and high hopes, that he'll be able to help us out. A little bit different situation for Deon today. I don't have any updates for you on that yet.
Has Gus, what he's accomplished in Jacksonville surprised you at all?
Will you ask that question again for me? Help me out. I'm not sure where you're going.
Has done in Jacksonville, has it surprised you at all?
Okay. Let me answer it this way. What Gus is doing at the Chargers is really good. He's doing great. And he's the coordinator at the Chargers, and he's always been a good coach. I'm sure it's hard. Like anytime when a coach moves, you look back and you see your team kind of emerging and doing their stuff, and you wonder, what it would have been like if you're still there and all that, because he had a lot to do with building this team and this roster and all of that. So I just think it shows. He and Todd were so close. They're best buddies and all that, and there's a lot of carryover, and they've been able to benefit from the years that they put together there. So it's. But it's an unusual situation to look back, but I'm sure that he looks back with some pride that they're playing really good football right now.
Do you see his imprints on this defense now? The Jaguars still?
Yeah, I think that their notebook is pretty much the same. I'm sure they have tweaked some things, but it's basically the same, same scheme, same principles, and all of that. But it always, it takes on really the flavor of the coaches that are doing it, and so they have their uniqueness. But there's a lot of similarities.
Does Maxwell stay in the starting lineup for you?
Yeah. I thought he did a good job last week, and had a couple of plays that were kind of unusual situations, but he played really well throughout, and we really liked the way he's growing with us and getting back, in our style and all. He's doing a good job.
Given the depth that you now have between him and you've got Jay Lane and potentially Shed coming back, how do you keep all those guys, I guess, active and engaged all the way through so that nobody loses a step or misses reps?
Well, usually we do that really well. That's the first time I had a chance to say that in a long time. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, we just figure it out. By competing, they compete their way to it and see what they can get done. And I really can't tell you how things are changing. I feel, after having lost a player of Sherm's magnitude, and then to feel okay about our depth, we're very fortunate. And I've said that, I think it goes back to the planning and really in the moves that have happened since too. It's been really orchestrated really well by John and the work that they've done, and I think that's, we're fortunate. So we feel good about it, and we're not worried about it, but the guys have got to battle for their playtime is really what it amounts to, which to be competing like that this late in the year is it's a good thing. It's, it's hard, and I don't mind anybody being frustrated by it because they all want to play and they deserve to play and all that, but not everybody gets to play, so we just have to work our way through that and handle that.
Pete, Luke Jokel struggled at times in Jacksonville. When you guys were evaluating him to see if you wanted to sign him, what did you see from what he did there that made you think that he would be an asset to this team?
Well, he's a great competitor. He battled. He played smart. He showed the flexibility. He played left tackle and left guard, which we really liked that part of it because we didn't know how our thing was going to work out back when we started up. We kind of hoped that he would wind up playing guard, but we didn't know, and worked out that way. And so I think he played his best football there at guard, in our opinion. We liked him best there, and so that's kind of why we were hoping it would work out that way. But he's done a great job for us, and I think just the overall athleticism, the smarts, size, he's got everything that you're looking for. That's why he was a #1 pick, and he's done well for us.
Whether it's him or Byron last week, when a guy's facing their former team, do you ever have to talk to them about?
I do. Yeah, matter of fact, I do. And I talked to Marcus last week too, and just to make sure early in the week that, because it can be a really big deal, and it can be a big enough deal that can cause an effect that you don't really want. And you always get. And I know this as well as anybody. I get jacked up when we play teams, where there's some history and whatever, and you have to put it in the right place so that you can function at your best. And so that's why I checked in with them, and make sure that, and we'll always do that to make sure that the guy's thinking clearly, and we find a perspective to put it in. I asked Maxie today, matter of fact, how was it? What was it like, and how'd you handle it? And he was very poised about it at game time, but he knew, he was aware of it, and he put it in the right place, and allowed himself to play really clear thinking and functioning well, and that's what's important. So I think it is an important thing to do. Yeah.
Do you think it's a big deal for Luke to face his old team?
It is a big deal. It's how you deal. It's natural. I know it. That's what I'm saying. I know that situation. I've felt that, and I know what it does to you and how it works you up and all that. And I think you have to manage it well and make sure that it doesn't get you out of the game that you're capable of playing. Luke will be fine. But I haven't talked to him yet about that.
Have you have you had a player who went off the rails about that and didn't handle it the way maybe you?
I'm all but. Personally, there was a time. I'll tell you the story here. I'm glad you brought it up. I got fired at Buffalo years ago. I don't think I've ever talked about this, but I will. I got fired at Buffalo years ago, and a bunch of guys got fired off that staff because we had a terrible year. We were 2-14 or something. It was an awful team. And the next year in the game 4, we were playing. We were going to play the Bills, and I was at the Vikings, and I was standing. I told the players during the week. I said, "Help me out. I'm so crazy because I was so pissed that I got fired, and I was all stupid about it and everything." Anyway, so I made a big deal about it to try to get them fired up too. And I'm standing in pregame, and they're warming up, and I'm standing next to Coach Grant, and I said, "Hey, Coach, do you ever?" Because I'm berserk. I want to kill him. I don't want to, whatever. It was stupid, and just young coach issues, and. I said, Coach, because he's just standing, just the epitome of calm and poise and all that, as he always was. I said, hey, Coach, you ever get nervous? He said, damn right I get nervous. What are you talking about? Of course I do. You think I'm not human? And he, as he always did, put me in my place. And because I was going crazy at the time, and he just looked like he was so chilled. And anyway, so that's where that game started. And fortunately, we won the game late in the game. Teddy Brown scored a touchdown on a Statue of Liberty, which is an awesome play. that Jerry Burns called, and we win the game, and I bust out of the. I'm in the press box. I bust out of the press box. I'm looking for the owner of the Bills, and luckily Paul Wiggin, who was in the box, talked me some sense and got me straight, so I didn't screw it up and be just a total idiot. So it's a bad story, but it's a fond memory.
You were going after Ralph Wilson?
No, I don't know what I was doing. I was just looking for somebody to, be a jerk about it anyway. So maybe you wonder why I understand Sherm. I can relate.
Why didn't you tell us that story last year?
No,
I think you'd already left college when Miles Jack was out of high school. But do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Watching him in Bellevue.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch him at Bellevue. I had seen clips of him and heard all about him, and he was an extraordinary recruit and all that stuff going in and all. So yeah, I've known about him since he was probably a sophomore in high school or something like that. Just on the wire.
So the offensive line has been under scrutiny, all the time from day one. But if you look at the past few games, it seems like Russell's had a lot of time to throw protection.
I think we've been improving steadily, and I think this is week 3 of our guys being together on the left side. They're getting to work together. They're getting to log some time where they can really start to relate and communicate on a good level. I mean, these are 2 brilliant football players. These guys, there's nothing holding these guys back, and I think it's already been a factor. I think as soon as Dwayne got on the field, it was a factor, and we could tell, and we're thrilled to have him, and he's affected our play in general. So I mean, think about it. How important that is that one guy goes to left tackle and things shift. So it has, and Russell's been the beneficiary some, and we all have. But we can get better. We can continue to improve, and this stretch right here is huge, and we're going to keep working at the fundamentals and the basics of it, and see if we can't end on a really high note.
Ethan been in his rookie. He's been your backup center. Now he's started at 2 different guard spots.
Yeah, he's been a great asset, and really it was again, I go back, the guys in the personnel department figured him out from the start. That's why he was so valuable to us, because we saw that he could have the potential, but he's still got to do it, and he's done it. He's been able to play tackle, guard, and center, and so he's a marvelous guy on the team right now, and he's doing a good job, and he's busting his tail to play hard and tough. He's going to be a really smart football player, and he's going to get bigger and stronger. He's got a great future ahead of him.
Tom was saying last week when Mike Davis became available, he really relied a lot on what he had done in college, and you guys liked him quite a bit out of college and not so much the 49er tenure. Just what do you remember of Mike in college, and then how?
Well, yeah, and I can't tell you that I was all zeroed in on Mike more than anybody else. I mean, that would rely on Johnny on that stuff, but he was a good player, and we had him on the board, kind of right about where we went. We liked that he was a versatile player, and so that's always rings to me. He can do a lot of stuff. He can catch the ball and all that. He was tough. He's certainly shown all of that just in the short time. We're really excited to have him out there and battling, and looking forward to coming back and playing. This is the first time he's had a chance to play a game and come right back and play again. So. But everybody's it's been really obvious to us that he could be a factor. We just had it early on. It was just hard to figure out which way we should go, and fortunately we were able to hang on to him to get him a chance, and he's doing really well with it.
Seems like he's got a really good feel in the pass game too. Does that surprise you just how much he's contributed there?
Yeah, he's really showed us that during camp, and in the offseason, that he's just a natural football player, and that's what I think Russell called him, a baller. He's saying that you can count on this guy to see the situations and take advantage of it, put himself in the right spots. Mike was calling for the ball in the lateral play last week. You could see it. He knew he was in the right spot, and I mean that's the awareness that it makes a difference, and he certainly has shown that early on.
When you were in school at college, right, at USC, when you coached in college, you got behind some Heisman campaigns.
You don't want to go back to my Tiger days at UOP? Okay.
What about Russell as an MVP candidate, for those that are kind of wondering about his status in the league?
Of course he's a candidate. Of course he is. He's having a great season. He's done so much at this point, but that doesn't mean anything until the end. Everything depends on how you finish and all of that, and there's some great players having great years, and he's certainly one of them. There's no question about that.
And then his fourth quarter numbers that he's putting up right now, is there any part of you that just sits back and just says, wow?
I love it, man. I saw a stat that he's tied the all-time record or something for touchdowns in the fourth quarter with 4 games to go, and I mean that's a lot of great players playing a lot of great football to get to that kind of designation. So we'll see what happens. He's still got to throw a couple more.
You mentioned John and the personnel guys twice now. Just all the different guys have come in this offseason or during the season even to contribute. Just How important is all the kind of influx of talent?
Yeah, it's been instrumental, you know, and really we've been able to see the benefits of that late in the seasons, you know, over the years, and you know, John just will not stop. You know, he just keeps relentlessly going after evaluations, putting guys in the order so that if when the opportunity comes up, we know right where to go and make ourselves. We don't always do them all right, but we hit a high average here with, you know, getting guys that can fit and will help us and. He just does you know, I don't know how you can do any better than he does. He's great at it.
You did jump out to a lead last week, getting up early in that game. It's something you guys haven't done all that much this season. How much of a benefit was that, though, to let the defense play with the lead and get the run game to where they became more?
Yeah, it was in this game in particular, a team that had, you know, had 7 blowouts and hadn't been. I don't even know if they trailed all year. I don't know if that happened, but. And hadn't given up a touchdown in the first quarter. You know, those kinds of things, those are good accomplishments in a game. And of course, we felt really good about it, and we were thrilled to see that we were moving, and we had a sense for moving the football early on. Defense was playing good, and but that's all it is. You know, that's just the start, and you see what happens after that. But we were able to, you know, keep going, and the game became a different game than they were accustomed to playing, and so. You know, that we got to see them in a different mode than we had watched them in all that film. There's a lot of games we turned the film off in the middle of the third quarter because they were so far ahead and they were killing everybody, you know. So it gave us a chance to see how they, you know, for the first time really how they would respond. And I know that we've been in enough close games that we're comfortable in those games. And if you haven't been, sometimes it can just, you know, it taxes you some.
Anything else? Thank you.